In a way, the grandfather, this great tradition of legislative futility, the British government, has found another way to prove that it understands neither technology nor the future, but nor does the leader of the opposition. And I've been wrestling with this all morning. Copyright law, conceived in an era when steam trains were the height of innovation, is now being wielded against artificial intelligence as if it were a sturdy musket repelling a nuclear onslaught. And the issue is not simply the irrelevance of Victorian era copyright statutes in addressing artificial intelligence, it's that our political class, particularly people like Kemi Badenoch, have proven themselves incapable of grasping the magnitude of the problem. Indeed, this is legislation as futile as King Canute ordering the sea to retreat. And even that was more of a sort of philosophical thought experiment. So if we acknowledge the absurdity of applying 19th century copyright laws to artificial intelligence, then those laws were designed to protect the output of individual human creators, of poets, of novelists, composers, artists, from the mechanical reproduction of their works. Yet today, AI models don't merely copy, they synthesize, they remix, they generate new material based on vast corpuses of human-created content, much like rap musicians were doing in the 1990s and early part of the 20th century, rap DJs. And the entire premise of intellectual property law is that an identifiable person or entity creates something original. But what happens when an AI model trained on millions of copyrighted works produces something that is statistically unique yet undeniably derivative? And this is the genuine philosophical and legal conundrum. But instead of grappling with these complexities, Kemi Badenoch has opted for the usual conservative approach, soundbite-friendly outrage coupled with fundamental misunderstanding of the topic. According to Badenoch, Labour's proposed copyright reforms that are being presented at the moment amount to a mess and a giveaway to big tech at the expense of the UK's creative industries. And this, of course, assumes that there was a sensible, functioning legal network in the first place. Badenoch's solution is more regulations. The same party that spends its time railing against red tape is now demanding legislative strangulation in the name of safeguarding creativity. Yet anyone with a modicum of understanding about AI knows that legislating against technological progress is as pointless as legislating against gravity. Attempting to protect the creative sector from AI is similar to trying to protect scribes from the printing press, or carriage manufacturers from the motor car. It's not simply reactionary, it is doomed, it is stupid. And it's not just that Kemi Badenoch is invested in this nonsense, the present government is invested in it as well, because the legislation is coming out of the DCMS, which is a ministry which has got a track record of failure and of passing the buck to, I'm surprised it's not simply saying, this is something Ofcom can deal with. The King Canute parallel, I think, is apt, and Badenoch stands like the ill-fated monarch before the tide of technological inevitability, issuing edicts that will be ignored by the waves. AI is not going to stop because Britain wants to write a few new copyright laws. It will simply evolve elsewhere, in jurisdictions more attuned to reality. Meanwhile, British AI firms already struggling against the gravitational pull of Silicon Valley will find themselves further hamstrung by an outdated legal structure and by political myopia developed by the now Labour-controlled DCMS and whipped up by the conservative madness of Kemi Badenoch. A more intelligent approach would be to embrace AI while also investing in ethical AI development, ensuring that human creators benefit from the revolution rather than being steamrolled by it. And instead of Luddite copyright laws, we need frameworks that acknowledge AI as both a creative tool and an economic force, one that can enhance rather than eradicate human artistry. But this would require nuance, foresight, and technological literacy, qualities that regrettably are nowhere to be found in Badenoch's latest diatribe or in the DCMS. I think AI can be harnessed to help the art world. So, for example, AI is already looking at identifying and validating great works of art as authentic or as the work of copyists or fraudsters, fakes. Unfortunately, the art world is equally prone to Luddite evasion and is very slow to pick up the fact that an AI program can identify the whole range of brushstrokes, nuances, colors, styles of a particular artist. So, for example, could quite happily identify this as a Van Dyck and that as a little Van Dyck, the faker. And we need to embrace that rather than get stuck in the mud with these art experts. AI can be a tool to help art rather than hinder it, rather than override it. Labour's current proposals are as inadequate as Kemi Badenoch's stuff, but for a different reason. They are reactionary and politically expedient rather than visionary. If we are to have a meaningful conversation about AI and copyright, it needs to go beyond simplistic binaries of protecting artists or empowering AI firms. We need an entirely new paradigm, one that recognizes AI's role in creation without diminishing the value of human ingenuity. So where do we go from here? Not, I regret, in the direction proposed either by Labour or by the Conservatives. AI is not the enemy, nor is it an enemy of the creative sector, and the creative sector isn't the enemy either. The enemy is ignorance and an insistence on applying 19th century logic to a 21st century phenomenon. So until policymakers wake up, mature, understand what we are dealing with, we will continue to see Badenoch-style flailing, ineffectual gestures against an advancing tide, as though Kemi Badenoch really believes that copyright laws can stop the sea from coming in. What utter madness.